What are the chances of upside from here for the crypto markets? And what are some scenarios of a more further downside that could be playing out for crypto as well? We're going to be taking a look into both scenarios. Of course, I'm going to be focusing on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still the driver of this market. Very important to be paying attention to it right now because it is Sunday morning here, Pacific Standard Time. The stock market does open in a couple of hours. Looking for a weekly candle close here for Bitcoin. Some bullish scenarios, gonna be talking about some bearish scenarios as well, and I'll give you guys my opinions on what I think is likely to happen based on what I'm seeing. We're also going to be getting into some major crypto news and economics news that could affect the markets, as well as a few altcoin setups, which includes AI Companion, which is AI Companion's AIC token, Arweave, Sonic token, SUSDT. See what's happening in these coins. What are their updated trading patterns and price targets? Some patterns have been invalidated since last time before getting into their updated patterns. So I just want to let you guys know that. So first of all, let's go ahead and get into some news first before diving into the charts. All right, first piece of news here. I'm going to give you guys my reaction. This is by News BTC. Bitcoin to 200,000. Galaxy Digital CEO reviews the biggest bull catalyst. So we still have targets all over the place, right? We still see 100,000 price targets. We have people saying that it is the bear markets. It is the start of the bear markets. I see 150k, 200k, 250k price targets. It's going to be very exciting to find out what actually happens in the fourth quarter because fourth quarter are usually the time when Bitcoin goes crazy, okay? Based on 2020, right? 2017, right? So it's going to be a very interesting time. My opinions on this market is bullish. I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here. So my opinions on this market is bullish right now. But these are just my opinions and not financial advice like the entirety of this video. You guys have to form your own strategies and opinions. Next piece here is going to be by ZY Crypto. Analyst calls one major crypto pump to 150k before bear market amid 3.3 billion whale accumulation. So this analyst is calling for 150k before a dump, right? Before a bear market because this whale has been or whales have been accumulating 3.3 billion dollars, right, of Bitcoin. I still think 150k it's a little too early, right? I still see more potential for Bitcoin beyond 150k based on a few things. One of which is that the Fed has just started its rate cut cycle, right? That is one, right? So I still think we're very early in that cycle. Secondly, I still see a very, it's not, we're not really at a very overbought RSI like we have seen back in 2021 and 2017. And I'll show you guys that in just a moment. So those are two of my main arguments for why 150k is going to be pretty achievable. I think we're going to go beyond that for Bitcoin. And why is it good that Bitcoin has more room to run? Because then altcoins will also have more room to run. And I think the altcoin setup, I'm talking about total 3, which is altcoins, market, excluding Ethereum. I mean, we have not even broken out of the cup and handle yet. We haven't really had a legit breakout of that cup and handle that has been forming since 2021. Okay, so that's why I still think we have a lot more room to go beyond 150k. All right, next piece here is going to be by Market Watch. People keep pushing Bitcoin on me, but it crashes regularly. What am I missing? So these crashes, you're going to see crashes regularly, okay? Now, the main thing I look for in a crash is what time frame are we still having a higher high and higher low trajectory? Right? Because that is basically the definition of an uptrend, right? You see higher highs and higher lows. And even though those higher lows happen because of crashes, quote unquote, um, we're still in a higher trend, an uptrend trajectory, right? Which very much still looks like it on the monthly time frame for Bitcoin, at least on the monthly time frame, okay? Next piece here is by News BTC. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index crashes to lowest level since March. Why this is good news? Yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to the Fear and Greed Index because um, for a couple of reasons, right? One of which is going to be the higher high and higher low argument, right? I mean, you could have those higher lows where a dump or a major pullback has happened, and the fear and greed index is in major fear, right? Like since March, right? But we still see an uptrend trajectory. What I would do personally if I have dry powder is I would actually buy those higher lows, right? So that is just what I do personally. Is not financial advice. So this is why I don't really pay too much attention to the fear and greed index. All right, let's come back here. This is the Bitcoin chart, and this is what I'm paying attention to because this weekly candle ends in about 7 hours. Let's see how this weekly candle ends. If this weekly candle ends back within this bearish rising wedge here, that's going to look a lot better for the bulls. Okay, that tells me that this could be a fake out for the bears, and the bears could be trapped if we end up with a wick and the weekly candle goes back into the pattern. Okay, that is one scenario. Okay, that is a bullish scenario. Let's take a look into some other scenarios here. Okay, I talked about a possible bearish scenario here. This is the daily time frame, okay, for Bitcoin, and I talked about how Bitcoin does need to break above this upper trend line here, right? And part of this upper trend line intersects with the bottom trend line of that bigger bearish pattern here. So that is going to be the major test I'm looking for. That's currently at about 114K. If Bitcoin is not able to break above that upward trend line, then you could see this. This could form into a falling wedge pattern, right? This could, right? Hypothetically, it's not formed, but that is a scenario, right? And the next level of support, where this bottom trend line could land is basically I'm tracking the daily 200 SMA because that's going to be the next key moving average I'll be looking at if some of these moving averages that Bitcoin is on right now does not hold. So that is a scenario I'm looking at, and of course the breakdown target. If this breakdown becomes more, uh, if it becomes more real, right? Right now there is it just started breaking down, right? But if it becomes more real and this becomes more steep, I'm still looking at a breakdown target of under 80K here for Bitcoin. So that's going to be very bad for the altcoins. That's a major drop. But there are quite a bit of moving averages that could be acting as supports. One of which, of course, is the daily 200 for all types of significance. Let's go ahead and go to the total 3 charts. Well, I want to show you guys the monthly time frame first, okay? Monthly time frame, why I think Bitcoin is still in a uptrend. It's obvious, right? We see higher highs and higher lows on this monthly time frame, okay? The higher low being back in August, that red candle there, and the higher low is still holding right now. But it's gonna depend a lot on what's gonna be happening on these daily time frames, weekly time frames, what I pointed out, and how those play out, right? So this is why Bitcoin still looks bullish here, right, on the monthly time frame. Let's see how likely this higher low holds, right? So, and then on the RSI, we are still nowhere in those FOMO levels, those overbought levels as we have seen back in 2021, 2017. I mean, does it have to play out exactly like that? No, but is there anything else that's telling me otherwise right now? Also, no. But I'll tell you guys when I do start seeing something that could change my bullish opinion right now. Let's go ahead and go to total 3. This is also very important because I talked about this cup and handle pattern, right? That could still that is still valid because we try to break out of this pattern here, but was unsuccessful. So we still have a wick, right? That is fine. That is a fake out, at least for this month. But this is still a valid pattern because I still see just wicks on top of the pattern and not candle closes, and then candle closes breaking back into the pattern. That would invalidate the pattern, but I mean, we haven't done that yet. Okay, so this is the next chart I'm looking at right now. Still very close to a possible breakout. The resistance here would be about 1.15 trillion, something to be looking at. Okay, let's go ahead and go to some altcoin setups. We're going to be taking a look into Arweave, okay, the AI coin, and what has been happening with Arweave here. Weekly time frame. Let's just do a very quick recap. This is the weekly time frame. Falling wedge pattern. Falling wedge patterns. You guys should definitely know how to or learn how to chart your falling wedge patterns because they are very common, probably the most common, and very simple, very effective. It gives you a much lower risk entry comparing to chasing a breakout on the day of. Okay. So this is Arweave. I talked about falling wedge pattern here for Arweave. This is the weekly time frame. Price target for this breakout here is going to be about $39. Price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. Very much depends on what happens with Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin starts dumping, especially extensively, that's not going to be good for your altcoin setups, and these altcoin setups could get invalidated. Now, since the breakout here that has happened back on July 7th, it has not really been doing too much, been running within this very tight falling wedge pattern that looks like it could actually be breaking down with this weekly candle. Now, falling wedges, even though they have a higher chance of breaking to the upside, they still have a smaller chance of breaking down. This is all a probabilities game. Nothing in this market is 100%, not price targets, not breakouts in one direction. Okay, so something to just consider. Okay, it is nothing in this market is 100%. Okay, so this is the candle to be watching out for right now because Arweave looks like it's trying to. The bears are actually trying to break down from this falling wedge pattern, and let's see if it is successful. Okay. So if it is successful, the next level of key support I'll be looking at, if $5.50 does not hold, you just gotta look at the previous candle closes, right? It's gonna be about $5.20. It's gonna be, and then next it's gonna be about $4.50. So those are gonna be some key supports to be looking at and see if Arweave bounces off those supports. So this is something to be paying attention to. Let's go ahead and zoom in to Arweave on a lower time frame and see it with a little bit more clarity on what it could be doing. So, like I said, the bears are trying to break down from this falling wedge pattern. And what I'm seeing here for Arweave, let's go ahead and go to the 6-hour time frame. This could be what I'm paying attention to here. Is that if Arweave does not break back into this falling wedge pattern, as simple as that, which basically, it's pretty in line with a possible falling wedge pattern that could be forming here. So if it doesn't break back into the pattern, which is basically this upward trend line of the smaller pattern on the 6-hour time frame, then it could form some type of a smaller falling wedge pattern, but that is something that's still hypothetical, right? Let's see if that happens. And if Arweave ends up back into the pattern, then that's going to look like a bear trap, and that could be good for the bulls. Let's go ahead and go to the next piece here, which is AIC, AI Companion, and see what's happening with this coin here. All right, weekly time frame, AIC, AI Companions. We have a possible cup and handle scenario that could be developing, right? It has not developed, but if AIC actually comes up here to retest about 57 cents, then this could form some type of a cup and handle pattern, because what I'm seeing here are still higher highs and higher lows, and higher highs and higher lows usually form rounded bottoms, and rounded bottoms usually form cup and handles. It is the foundation of a cup and handle. So let's see if that happens, because this is still hypothetical. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame here. Excuse me. Smaller time frame, 6-hour time frame. Okay, it is trying to get back on top of the 6-hour 21 SMA. That's currently at about 33 cents. Okay, if AIC does not end up back on top of the 6-hour 21 SMA, that means that support did not hold. The next key level I'll be looking at will be the 12-hour 21 SMA, which is the blue line here at about 25 cents coming up. Okay, and see if that actually holds, right? Now there are a few scenarios that could play out here, including a double bottom, with the bottom to be about 23 cents from this previously on this 12-hour time frame. So some things to be looking at, or if that double bottom scenario does not hold, then it could be a falling wedge pattern. So some things to be paying attention to. Let's go ahead and go to the smaller time frame here, where there looks like there is a bear trap that's playing out right now, as you guys can see. This is the hourly time frame, falling wedge pattern. The bears try to actually break down from this pattern, and the bulls bought it right back up and end up back into the pattern. So this falling wedge pattern on this hourly time frame is still valid. Price target, if it breaks out of here, would be about almost 35 cents price target. So this is basically what I'm seeing for AIC. Let's go ahead and go to Sonic. Sonic, SUDT. See what's happening in this coin here. I talked about a falling wedge pattern on this weekly time frame. Price target for this falling wedge pattern is going to be about 94 cents, okay? And it broke out. However, it hasn't really done too much since it has hit about 42 cents, right? Now, there has been a few patterns here that has been invalidated, right? And I recharted those patterns, one of which was a head and shoulders pattern, which is a bearish pattern that usually breaks down, and that broke down, and that price target, that breakdown target, has basically been met. Now, what has Sonic been doing since the breakdown? I see a falling wedge pattern, a smaller one, after the breakout of this bigger one, and the price target for the smaller falling wedge pattern would be about 42 cents. Weekly 21 SMA is about 35 cents. That's going to be the next key resistance to be paying attention to. That is downward sloping right now. So this is basically what I'm seeing for Sonic. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame. Any other clues I can get here for Sonic? Probably not. This looks like it could be a double bottom, but I'm not going to zoom in any longer. Or let's try one more time. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, it looks like there's divergence playing out, right, on some of these shorter time frames. So this basically wraps it up for today for some of these coins. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of Arweave, AI Companions, Sonic, or any other coins in this market by dropping a like, comment, subscribe. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis, and I'll see you on the next one.